Hello, all you fabulous people out in YouTube land. I am your host today, Rudy B. My pronouns are they, them, and we are the Nonprofits. This is a show where we discuss current events and social issues from a skeptical humanist perspective. Now we got to get into the boring stuff. The Nonprofits is a product of the ACA, a 501c3 nonprofit organization dedicated to the separation of religion and government and promoting positive atheism. You can support us on Patreon at patreon.com/thenonprofits. And of course, you can email us, tell us what you like, what you don't like, or just send us some articles you want to see us cover at nonprofits@atheistcommunity.org or non-profits or non-profits at atheist-community.org. The dashes are important. Don't send the email to the wrong place. You can join us on Facebook at our Facebook fan group, facebook.com/groups/nonprofitslive. Or you can join us on Discord as well at tiny.cc/ACA Discord. Now that all of that is out of the way, hello, my wonderful co-hosts, Martin, Neil, and our wonderful special guest, Outcast X. How are you guys doing today?
Fantastic.
I love how we all rushed to answer that one.
Well, no,
I'm
always afraid that I'm going to talk over someone. I want to make sure we weren't in that 2-minute mark yet. I was going to say something else, but I'm doing great, everybody. Golly gee willikers, it's great to be here.
Gee willikers.
By George, I'm having a fantastic day.
Oh,
and I can't complain myself. Work is over, so
yeah,
it's much better. And I've got cold beer, so
there you go. And I've got cold water.
Seltzer.
I had Kool-Aid, but I don't have it anymore. I drank it all.
Were you drinking Berry Blue?
What? Actually, no, but my fiance asked me to make Berry Blue, and I was like, we always make Berry Blue. Can we do something else? It was blue raspberry lemonade, in case anybody's curious.
It looked good.
Was I the only one that didn't watch the inauguration? Did everybody else watch the inauguration today?
Nope.
Because that's the day we're recording this.
So I caught a little bit of it. I was at work, but I happened to take my lunch break between like 11:20 and 11:50. So right at the end of my lunch break, I got to see Lady Gaga sing the national anthem. That's East Coast time, by the way. But yeah, I got to see Lady Gaga sing the national anthem, and that was awesome. She did a great job, as obviously she would. She's a very talented singer. Yeah, it was pretty cool to see it all, unfold.
If that's the only part you caught, that's probably the best part anyway. So yeah. So let's get into our fabulous special guest, Outcast X, who is part of the Utah Outcast. Tell us about yourself and tell us about the Utah Outcasts.
So, hey everybody, I'm X because my real life name is Boring, and unfortunately we go after some nasty people on the Utah Outcast sometimes, especially the Proud Boys and stuff, and a lot of incel folks, and they tend to dox folks, and I'm not a big fan of that. And as much as I told my co-hosts Kyle and Felicia that you probably shouldn't go with your real names, they did it anyway. So anyway, it's just better to have an alias. I have a job that I very much like having and want to retire from, and I don't want to lose that based on my hijinks that happen on YouTube. So I started Utah Outcast back in like 2015, mainly just as a podcast. I had no idea it was going to go YouTube until months later, with my longtime friend Kyle, and we both adopted Felicia, who we didn't know prior to us starting doing the show, and our other bestie, I should say. And we put out nearly 2,500 videos on YouTube and over 300 episodes of our podcast. So we suck at advertising ourselves. So that's why we're pretty unknown, but at least that's how I see it. I was also born an Air Force brat to two parents who grew up in Central Arkansas. If people really want to know, my mom's from Conway, my dad was from Pine Bluff, and we're talking, nowhere towns in Arkansas. So not only was the Southern Baptist beat into me as a child, but so was also the deep-seated racism that can only come from being in a family that was originally against integration during the Civil Rights Movement. So,
wow,
yeah, my parents did some growing up, but the casual racism was there every once in a while. You can't help but avoid that when you try your best to teach your parents how to not be the way they were, but I'm 40 and they're 60, and it's kind of hard to get those old dogs to learn new tricks. So thankfully we got out of the South. I spent most of my life learning how to be funny, to avoid fights, because I've always been overweight. And so we arrived in Utah in about 1995. It was a complete sea change for me, because now I live in the seat of Mormondom, and it's fascinating living here. It's almost like I'm a sociologist, like living here real time with like the Aztecs. It's kind of great. So I crawled my way out of religion slowly but surely, thanks to the fact that we didn't have very good Baptist churches here. There was all that very judgmental baptism kind of crap, where the old church I would go to, it was like blue jeans and a t-shirt. Don't care. Come to church. Here it's like, oh, you're not wearing dress clothes. Judging you. So it finally culminated in the early 2000s when the lightning bolt moment happened, that it was all a giant lie just to keep folks into control. So that's essentially my shortened life story that I got here. But I do the Utah Outcast show on YouTube podcast, and you can also find me on my solo project, which is just Outcast X. You can find me on YouTube.
Awesome. Thank you for not only describing your projects, but giving us your life story.
In a nutshell.
In a nutshell. But what you've described about living in Utah leads perfectly into our first topic. So I will let you summarize that. Our first topic today comes from Vox.com. It is an article on Vox.com, and the topic is why the Mormon Church is not losing members as fast as other churches are. But before we get into the article and the summary, just reading the headline, I had an idea right away of what the answer to that was going to be. What did you guys think just from reading the headline?
Yeah, about the same. Kids.
Nothing. I had to read it.
Lots of kids.
Well, yeah, that is one of the major bullet points that the article does have. To give away spoilers here, but the one of the things that the LDS Church does very well, quite well, is they indoctrinate them when they're young. They give them positions within the church when they're young, and they beat it into you. And I shouldn't say beat it into you. They drill it into you every day, every week. In fact, one of the things we have here, it doesn't mention this in the article anywhere, but in living here in Utah, public schools, when you get to like junior high and high school age, they have separate buildings called what do they call them? I'm blanking on the name. Anyway, it's a place where you get a free hour away from your classes to go take religious indoctrination at school. Wow. And so like when I was in high school, the building itself was literally on school property. I mean, technically not on school property, because you can't do that, but they sold that little bit of a parcel of land to the LDS Church, and so you have religious indoctrination on the school campus, and so kids would walk to that in their free period. That just meant I got to take like double gym. It was kind of nice. But yeah, having lots of kids is one way that they do it. Another way is rope them in young and keep them in under control as much as you possibly can, under the guise of being a happy, healthy family. Yeah,
they mentioned in the article that they get the one night a week where they do the family night, and everyone gets
family
together.
Home evening is typically on Mondays, because I had friends that when I was growing up, not living here in Utah, my first Mormon family I knew was in Louisiana, and the family home evening was like the only day of that week where I couldn't hang out with my bestie, and it's just, I couldn't even call him on the phone. It was like complete disconnection. You see him at school, they'd go home, and it would be blackout for the whole time. You didn't talk to him on Sunday, you didn't talk to him on Monday. And it was weird, because it is, reading scriptures together as a family. It is playing, they make a game out of it called Scripture Chase, where like you pull a card and you're like, this is the quote, and they have to hurry and flip to wherever it was in the place, and they read the scripture out loud and stuff. And it's so bland. It's so boring. I mean, a lot of the times it would be board games, but they have their own bookstores here in Utah that they sell games specifically tailored to be, Mormon family home evening games to play, or, movies that you could buy. It is the LDS Church is a giant media empire. So there's another reason that you could probably lay it on them, is that they're not losing as many people, because regular churches, they don't usually have whole arms and wings of like religious indoctrination through media. You don't have bookstores. You don't have newspapers that are written by them. They have their members only website where you have to go to see if you're up on your tithing. It is a overarching, controls every aspect of your life, is what the LDS Church does. And it's normalized from being a child, and you have to step up in front of your entire congregation and give your testimony, how you know the church is true. You know that Jesus talked to Joseph Smith, and Joseph Smith is the true prophet. We're talking and emotionally manipulating kids at like 8 years old.
Yeah, as an ex-cult member myself, ex-Jehovah's Witness, I get that witnesses also have a family home evening type of thing that they do. I think the main big difference, though, between the Mormon Church and the Jehovah's Witness organization is that Mormons are regional somewhat. They like take over entire areas, and they have like there's more Mormons in that area than anybody else, or there's a large amount of them to the point where they can dictate policy, essentially. Which I would imagine is the only reason that those school buildings that you were talking about exist, right?
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
So we have legislature here in Utah that is overwhelmingly Mormon. When the population of the state, they're only a small margin ahead of what everybody else is. I mean, we're still talking like 50% LDS, which is a giant share, but like 50% everything else, you know?
Yeah.
Right.
So they don't own the whole ruling of the state, but yet 80 or 90% of the legislation comes out of people that are LDS.
Right. And typically, because of that religion being the way that it is, they're probably all going to vote the same way. So
surprisingly, the LDS Church is pretty good sometimes about not dictating to people how they should vote.
Interesting. So besides the first part of the article that was talking more about how the Mormon Church is keeping its members, the second half of the article went into more of the main reason why it's losing any members at all at this point, which is interestingly enough because there are young people in the church that don't agree with the way that the church has handled LGBTQIA plus rights. What do you guys think about that?
I think they're smart to think that way. That's for sure.
I think it.
Go ahead.
Oh, go ahead. Oh, I think it just kind of goes to show how progress just kind of happens over time, but also, you know, it just goes to show that people will always fight back against said progress. So you have to be, you know, an active advocate for it. But yeah, I think like in general, even within these microcosms or these cults, you know, even as they grow to be multiple millions of members, the younger generations are always a little bit more open, I guess I want to say, than the previous. Is what I've noticed, at least. Especially nowadays with technology, you know, everybody's interconnected. The concept of LGBT rights is no longer a foreign concept to some people, whereas even 10 years ago, for some people, that was not even a talking point in their politics, you know, whereas now everybody at least has an opinion on the matter. So just kind of entering the normal, I guess you could say, cultural zeitgeist kind of forces the Mormons to address it, whether they want to or not.
Yeah, for sure.
And the thing is, they've changed policy throughout the years based on however the wind is blowing. You know, they know that if social progress is heading into the arena where you have acceptance for LGBTQIA people, they will eventually reach that point because it took them long enough, but they finally allowed African American church members to get the priesthood that they weren't able to have up until like the mid 80s. You know. That might seem like really like, oh my God, the 80s. Yeah, it took them to the 80s, but you got to keep in mind how racist the church was to begin with, you know, where when they finally made that, it was a huge shift, and it's only a matter of time. I mean, right now they allow you to still go to church, take communion, you know, tithe to the church, be a member of the church in good standing, as long as you're not acting on your same-sex attraction.
Yeah.
Which has a lot. That's a lot different than most other sects of Christianity that I've ran into, where it's like, if you're gay, don't even come here, you know, don't even come around, you know?
Right.
But unfortunately, like up until the 90s, they still had sexual reprogramming. They tried to say that it was this kind of thing, like at the BYU campus where they would do gay conversion therapy, and it's just it's their history is nipping at their heels every single week, and I think that you're losing a lot of these folks when they get to be the article states like when they get to be like in their 20s, because it's like being Amish. You get burnt out on it. It's been everything you've known your entire whole life. And then finally you get to a point where after they serve their mission, most guys in the LDS church do missions from, I think it's you had to have acceptances now from like you can go from 18 to 20, which is 2 years in a foreign country where you don't have enough money. You have to hang out with your companion friend the entire time. You can't shower by yourself. You can't use the bathroom by yourself because the devil might get a hold of you and you might actually accidentally touch yourself. You know?
Yikes.
So you're not allowed to be away from them. Like
for me.
Yeah, too much for me. And so, I mean, it's a very, very controlling church where they know that when they send you off to a foreign land, or, you know, at the very worst, like New Mexico, they send you off to these places and you're away from family. You're still young. You miss your family. And they provide the only like source of, you know, we're your friends, we're your family, we're it. You know, you need to rely on us to survive while you're here. You need to go and teach to all these other people what you need to believe about this church. And it kind of conditions them that this is what I need to survive, you know, because that's just the way that they have survived that long. It's really nefarious. And it bugs the hell out of me that this article tries to say that it's this emphasis on strengthening family ties is something that keeps a lot of them around.
Yeah,
that's bullcrap, because I've known multiple people in my life that have been shunned by their family because they were gay or because they were trans. And it's a shame that no one hears from those folks. It's always from the HR department, where not HR, the PR department, where they're saying, oh, but look, we take care of our members. And they do. They have food sharing programs. They have a lot of socialist programs that are good as long as you're paying your 10% tithing and you're up to date on it, you know, as long as you're not doing anything too naughty because you need to confess your sins still. So they exert control over just about every aspect of your life, and it's crazy.
Yeah, that pretty much matches what I have heard from ex-Mormons as well. Neil, Martin, any more thoughts?
The only thing I really was pleased about to hear in that article was the fact that they had mentioned that people were leaving the pews in droves.
Yeah.
It's right at the beginning where they talk about that. And then it goes into why the Mormons weren't. So I'm always pleased to hear that the pews are being emptied. But
yeah.
I mean, we have a retention rate that went from 70% down to 64%, which is great.
Like that. Yeah.
So, I mean, it's if you got less than half that are sticking around, and I thank the internet for this, because the internet has brought forward. I was
going to say that exactly that.
Go check out the CES letter. I want everybody to go check that out.
Yeah.
That one out if you've never seen it.
Yeah, that's definitely a good one. By the time these kids reach like their adulthood, like 18 and above or whatever, and if they come from families that are of mixed religions, they tend to be more prone to leaving a religion behind, period. Mm-hmm. Right. So that's also kind of cool, in my opinion.
Yeah. Thankfully, my wife turned her back on it when she was in her, early teens, and just never went back. So she's caught holy hell from her mom about it growing up. But once I came into the picture, and I was, God, it was really funny. Met my mother-in-law and was just hanging out like for the third or fourth date that we had going on with my wife. And we're getting ready to go do something. And she's like, you can't go do that. It's Sunday. You need to stay home. It's Jesus's day. And my wife just drops at her. That's okay. X doesn't believe in God. Bye.
Oh man.
Oh, that's awesome.
Bring that.
And you were instantly hated. So does that mean you have like the Fred Flintstone mother-in-law syndrome thing going on right now? Or she?
No, she's actually a pretty nice lady. It's just there's still the occasional, I got a gift for the kids, and it's like something religious, and it's just like that goes right in the garbage.
Circular file.
Oh wow.
All right. So the next article we have to cover is from The Guardian. And the headline reads, U.S. set for flurry of Christian nationalist bills advanced by religious right. Now, as of our recording right now, President Joe Biden has just been sworn into office literally earlier today, as we've already mentioned. So it's kind of, with all the talk about, oh, the Democrats are taking over, at least that's what a lot of Republicans seem to think, the idea that there are Christian nationalists that are going to be advancing a bunch of bills seems like contradictory to that, but I'll let Martin get into that. Go ahead and summarize that article for us, if he would.
Yeah, so this article is an interesting one. Like Rudy said, it is from the Guardian. It basically summarizes I want to say an approach to legislation, because it's not their goal is not actually to legislate, it's to kind of brute force the system. It's called Project Blitz, and it's put on by a collection of right-wing religious groups. And ultimately what it is it's as many bills as possible in whichever state governments they find to be vulnerable to such bills. They're typically anti-LGBT, in particular anti-trans rights. Citing another Guardian article, it says at least 75 bills have been brought up between 2017 and 2018. In the 2020 calendar year, it was a lot slower as far as legislation goes, but they were still sure to try to push through some bills. One bill in particular that I wanted to mention, or I shouldn't say one bill because it happened in 6 different states, was in 2019. They introduced bills in Louisiana, Arkansas, Tennessee, Florida, Alabama, and Arizona to put "In God We Trust" on public buildings, in schools, and on public vehicles, including police cars. Now, some states, as you might already be aware, already have "In God We Trust" on public cars.
Yes.
Yeah, seriously. I paid a little extra money to get a license plate in Florida that does not say "In God We Trust" on it. They had a free one that didn't say "In God We Trust," but I didn't like the style very much, so I went with one of the upgrades. But yeah, I was like, no, I'm not going to put "In God We Trust" on my vehicle. Thank you. But yeah, so in general, Project Blitz, like I said, it's just kind of trying to brute force the system. It's called a scattershot approach in the article. And to quote one of the organizers, he's one of the 4 people on Project Blitz's steering team, David Barton. He says it's kind of like a whack-a-mole for the other side.
I fucking hate David Barton. I hate that man so much. He's the guy that lies about history, just complete utter fabrications about how we're a Judeo-Christian nation. Oh, I fucking hate him. Oh, man.
I got one more line that I'm going to hand the ball right to you, sir, because I want to hear you go off about David Barton.
Me too.
Said it'll drive them crazy, them being, those in favor of LGBTQIA rights, I should say. It'll drive them crazy that they'll have to divide their resources to oppose this. So, X, with that being said,
divide the resources. Okay.
Well,
take it away.
Just look into that. I've done several of his stuff on my channel, but like David Barton is just one of those guys that is just a Christian dominionist that's trying to get textbooks put into schools that have the bullshit narrative that we're a Christian nation, always have been, and we're established as one, even though the documents that he loves to go to talk about how we're a Christian nation state explicitly that we're not, just, oh no, I'm just going to ignore that line and we're just going to go over here and do this. And yeah, do you remember how George Washington prayed at what the hell was it, that Valley Forge and something? It's like, just, you got to love the people that put off this hokum as American Christian dominionism, that we've always been this way, and they just pass it off like it's been true this entire time. Oh, it says in this document, because the Declaration of Independence says every man is endowed by his creator with certain inalienable rights, and it's just like, see, they believed in a God right there. That means that, man, it makes me so goddamn angry.
Yeah, but most of them were deistic, if I remember.
They were. Jefferson wrote his own goddamn Bible, man.
Yeah, that's right.
That took all the supernatural out.
I think it's also kind of silly because it's like, at the end of the day, why does it matter what the beliefs were of the people who founded the country. Why is that even relevant to now?
Right. Like, what if they believed in Zeus when they founded the country? Does that mean we should believe in Zeus? No, that doesn't mean anything about Zeus. It just has to do with the nature of the country. And
regardless of what they believed, the country was founded as a secular nation. Period, because they wanted to get away from all the religious overtones from England when they left England.
Mm-hmm.
So to circle back to the inauguration that we were talking about earlier, I don't know how many of you guys noticed, but Joe Biden is a very, very Catholic guy.
Yeah.
And that was essentially beat up and beat over our heads the entire time that the inauguration was going on. There were a handful of prayers and a handful of hymns and everything. And it's just like, everybody's like, oh, you're just one of those angry atheists that's mad because it was invoked everywhere. And I'm like, I'm just fucking tired of it, guys. It's like everywhere. Anytime a political person gets up there, it's like, oh, well, God's going to guide us. Shut up. And we have a Supreme Court that apparently we're making fun of their religion, even though like 6/9 of it are Catholic. It's some ridiculous number of people that are on the Supreme Court that are overly
2/3
represented, you know.
Yeah.
But no, we're the big bad atheists and we're saying mean things about them. So shame on us, you know.
So speaking of the inauguration, how much of a threat do you think that Project Blitz is going to be during a Biden presidency? I mean, so far, we have the majority, I guess it's a Democratic majority for most of the areas of government right now, maybe barely, but
I would say plurality in the Senate, not majority, or it's 50-50, right? Yeah, so
it's 50-50 with Joe Manchin being the swing vote for the Democrats, and so we don't really have much of a superiority or a plurality in the Senate stuff.
Right, but it's certainly an improvement at the very least.
Well, the Project Blitz stuff is going to happen, and it's going to get worse because Trump and McConnell, the tag team that they are, installed so many asshole conservative Christian judges into federal seats that the damage is it's going to take us a century to overcome the damage that's going to be done by the last 4 years of the Trump administration. It's going to take a long goddamn time for us to get over this, unless Biden decides to not play centrist McChief here and, you know, actually try to progress this country past the scrimmage line. You know, if we could just get moving just a little bit beyond, you know, if we can get that first down. And I'm not a sports ball fan, but this is the best way I can think about it, is that we are just constantly just pushing back and forth and ceding ground to these guys every single election. It would be really nice to have someone be able to push it back a little bit, you know, but it's not going to happen as long as we have a Supreme Court that's 6-3 split, and I don't know.
Right. And also one thing to highlight here is that a lot of this legislation is actually taking place in state governments, which are sometimes entirely controlled by Republicans.
Yeah.
Citing one other article here that we can link in the YouTube comments called religiondispatches.org. It basically, and I'm only going to read the headline. It basically says Project Blitz seeks to do for Christian nationalism what ALEC, if you're not familiar with ALEC, it's a corporate legislation making machine, essentially, what ALEC does for big business. So ALEC is an organization that, you know, crunches out a bunch of policy that's pro multinational corporations. Project Blitz does a bunch of policy that's pro Christian nationalism.
Yeah. And they're, as you already stated, Martin, the goal isn't even necessarily to get every bill passed. The goal is just to put so many out there that at least some of them will probably get passed.
And see what sticks.
Yeah.
And then what they can do...
Go ahead.
I was going to say what they can do is, you know, let's say they pass a bathroom bill in Florida. I'm just speculating, you know, because Florida. Let's say they pass a bathroom bill down here, then other states can potentially say, and I don't know the actual legal precedent for this, but they can attempt to say, hey, it's, you know, it got passed in that state, so why can't we have it here? And they can kind of argue back and forth, whereas if it doesn't pass in any state, then they don't really have a leg to stand on. So that's why they're trying to get it through in as many states as possible, so that if one sticks, then ultimately that's just a wedge in the door, essentially, to get through more of this legislation.
it's almost like federalism is a bad idea now that we can talk to each other across state lines instantly, and we rely on each other to, balance each other's checkbooks at the end of the year.
What a concept.
But then again, you would get nobody here in this country where you would think the federal government would do better at running things, even though they do.
Well, whether or not people think they do, they are. So that's something.
I think the last question I want to address with this article is, what can we do about this? I mean, if all of these bills are going to get pushed pretty much no matter what, because there's always going to be somebody who's going to want them, what can we do about that? What is, as secular activists, as voters, what can we even do about that?
Keep voting every time you can vote, no matter what. Yep. If you can, run for local offices where you live. I mean, you can usually find support, and you could find people that are willing to back you. Even if we're just talking city hall, even if you're just talking like local city council stuff, run for that, because that's going to affect you in the immediate future. You have state houses and state senate. Yes, those are going to affect you as well, but it takes a while probably to get into that kind of game, and you have to have corporate backing usually to get into that. And hopefully you live in a state where you can potentially win some of these fights. Out here in Utah, there are so many times when you have ballots that come out and there's no contest for a lot of the people around there. It's always Republican and no Democrat. And so you either vote for the person or you don't. And usually my ballot looks pretty empty, except for the houses where I can vote for a Democrat. But yeah, I just say, if you can vote, not if you can vote every time, whether you can or not, damn it. Vote twice. I'm joking.
No, don't vote twice.
Don't do that. Don't give them fuel for their fire.
The guests on the show do not represent the views of the ACA.
Not much I can do either. I'm Canadian.
Yeah.
I just drink and laugh at you guys.
Donate to people that can affect change.
Yeah, but please don't vote in America, because you wouldn't be helping.
Yeah, I know I said the last question was my last question, but I forgot I was also going to ask Neil, what is your outside perspective on all this?
In a nutshell, I'm praying for you guys.
Good luck.
Okay.
No, as I just said, there's really not a lot I can do, but I can maybe suggest some things to people, but no one's going to listen to a Canadian. But you just got to hope that eventually you get the right people in positions of power that aren't going to allow shit like this Blitz thing to happen. But that's going to take some time. Like X said, it's probably a decade or so before anything even remotely close to that starts happening.
Right.
What you guys really need to do there is somehow, and I don't know how the hell you're going to do this, but just because you seem to have presidents that get elected that are all of them are some kind of religion or some kind of faith behind them, you need to fix that. You gotta have so that people that don't have a religion can still be a president, because they're still decent human beings, right?
Look, I wish we could get a Jacinda Ardern for this country. I wish we could. I wish we could run like New Zealand and actually have smart people that believe in science running the government. But instead, we have Joe Biden, who does do that, but he also believes that, he's going to be absolved of sins if he talks to a guy in a box. It's kind of.
Well, don't forget, you have to eat the crackers and drink.
I talk to a guy in a box all the time. I don't.
Would you call me?
Oh boy, here we go. Okay,
here we go.
I think that we're in a better position now than we were previously, of course, but obviously we're still years behind where we'd like to be. I'm not sure if, in response to what you said, Neil, I'm not even sure if we're in a position right now where an atheist could get elected president. I don't, or somebody who is openly an atheist, I should say. Or at least, or even really just somebody who openly doesn't care about religion. Like, not even
an agnostic.
Just somebody who's like indifferent about religion. I don't know if that's possible right now.
Yeah.
I was going to say that Obama probably was the closest thing we had to an atheist president, because I think most of that was lip service, just to pander to the fan base of the Christians of the country, to make them think that we are a special country united underneath a banner of God. Sorry, Freudian
slip. Yeah. Oh, goodness.
Well, I would agree with you, X. I think Obama is probably one of the better presidents you've had in quite some time.
And that's not to say I'm fawning over him, because if you listen to Utah Outcast, God, I say some words about him sometimes.
Sure. Nobody's perfect, right? But he's probably one of the best.
And people, here's something else you could do.
Stop
treating your elected people as like sports heroes or like superstars. They're civil servants. They're public servants. They require you to get the job. That's Bully them.
Yeah. I try to remember that I'm voting for policies and not a person. Like, this is not a popularity contest. I couldn't give fewer shits about whether or not they have a dog or like what they like to do for fun, how they dress. That is so not a factor at all.
You just reminded me. This funny enough. I was raised as a Jew, so I was at my sister's place, and during a Passover meal, and it was before Justin Trudeau was elected as prime minister, and her and my two nieces are going on about, oh, he's so cute and he's got all these great ideas and yada yada. I'm like, guys, don't worry about him as a person, worry about the policies he supports, right? Like that's all I can say is, especially with my nieces, oh, he's adorable and blah blah blah, but they were like 18 19 years old at the time, right? So but I mean, you got to look for policies, not the person so much. I mean, it's okay to like who the person is, but definitely they should have good policies. They should match what you want the country. They should match mostly. They don't need to be lockstep with everything that you want to have happen to a country. I disagree with Biden on a lot of things, Sure. But the fact is that he's not that guy going that direction. He's trying to go he's that not direction. Trump.
So yeah. But there's a lot of people who are like, that's not enough for me. I need to actually love the guy. And I'm like, no,
you don't.
No,
you don't.
Yeah, I tend to feel the same way about that.
Yeah.
Poor Martin. Oh, we have Martin back. Praise Jeebus.
Sorry about that.
Martin was temporarily abducted by aliens.
Oh, don't mention aliens, Neil, because we're about to get into our next segment, which I expect you to contribute that on. Yeah.
There.
Right. So our
next segment. Wait a minute.
All right. This next segment is called Strange But True.
Strange but true.
Ooh, okay. So today in Strange But True, we're going to explore the bizarre origins of a seemingly innocuous beverage, Sleepytime tea. So I will go ahead and summarize the article that we got this from. We got the article from foodandwine.com.
I'm a big fan.
And naturally, this is about tea, so, makes sense.
It's teasing. Never mind.
Okay, so the successful tea manufacturing company Celestial Seasonings. I'm sure if anybody here is a tea drinker, they've probably seen a Celestial Seasonings box.
Yes.
It's got like cute pictures on it and stuff. The company was founded in 1969. In 1972, the face of the company, Mo Siegel, was the creator of their most popular item, which is Sleepytime tea. Siegel.
And I never heard of it.
I actually had, because my parents had like literally one of our cabinets was just full of Celestial Seasonings teas.
I heard Celestial Seasonings, but I had no idea that Sleepytime was one of theirs.
It's like a spearmint, like chamomile.
Chamomile, yeah. I saw the ingredients, but nope, never seen a box of it in my life.
Their apple cinnamon is their best. I love that tea.
So that's the one I've seen. Yeah.
Sorry.
Anyway,
this is going to go off into us just talking about our favorite tea flavors.
Oh no! I got a treat. Remember?
Yes, and I'm just about to get into that. So Siegel believed in a New Age, Seventh-day Adventist-inspired version of the Bible called the... How is it pronounced, Neil?
The Urantia Book.
The Urantia Book.
Or also known as the Urantia Papers as well.
I heard Hank Hill has a narrow one of those.
No, that's urethra.
Oh, okay.
Oh, uh-oh.
All right. All right.
Urethra.
That's what I do. Sorry.
You clown. So supposedly this book was communicated to an unknown man possessed and put into a trance by aliens.
Yeah, sometime between the 20s and the 50s, I think.
Yeah, in reality, the book was most likely written by a very racist psychiatrist named William Sadler, and his racism was very pervasive throughout this Urantia book. Yeah, Neil's gonna whip it out in a second, but he actually has this book.
Phrasing.
It's not Thursday.
It's not Thursday. You're right. By the way, I am hosting the next episode of Secular Sexuality. So if you didn't see the episode, actually, by the time this airs, that'll have been in the past. So go back and watch the episode that I hosted. But
we're very excited to see you host that, Rudy.
Okay, so this book has some really weird stuff in it about different colored aliens and. You know what? I'm just going to let Neil take it from here.
I could read you a portion if you like.
Please do.
The Master Physical Controller. No, it's basically when I first heard about this book, which was back in the 90s, I first heard about it. That's during my time of going, being involved with like Wicca and woo-woo nonsense crap and whatnot. And to me, it sounded really cool because it had almost a United Federation of Planets feel to it. Is what I'll say, because they talk about extra spatial beings and universal beings and beings of light and people from other worlds, and we're all created by God, yada yada. So, it's called the Urantia Book, and this is what it looks like basically in its basic form. It looks like a Bible. It's even got the little tassels that hang out of the end, and this fucking thing is huge, right? So I'm not actually going to read anything out there, but I'll give you an idea of what some of the things are in here, like the 7 mansion worlds, or the Moranita life, whatever the hell that is. The inhabited worlds, I guess, and it goes into how Jesus had visited different planets and spoke to the inhabitants of these worlds. Yeah. Terrestrial.
No, he's buried in Japan. I don't know if you guys knew about that one.
Oh yeah, that's right too. Well, that's where he landed when he came back. It was Japan, and now he's apparently part Japanese. But they have planetary helpers and administrator seraphim, supervisor seraphim, all kinds of really bizarre shit. Local universe groups. All kinds of like beings of light, the universal father, the nature of God is explained in this book, because the nature of God that's been explained before in other religious
naturally
books
but this book has it right. This book has it right. That's correct. And I marked off a couple of pages myself because they were kind of hilarious, but I won't get into that. But yeah, it's quite the read. If you ever get a chance to, actually, I think you can get to it online. The entire book is available to read online. Flip through it. You'll laugh. You'll cry. It'll be an evening. Read it. Don't follow it as a religion.
No.
Well, I mean,
right,
because
read it in the historical context.
Yes.
If you do read it, you end up with quotes like this guy from Mo Siegel, who said, "At the present time, mankind loses about as much progress as it makes by ignoring eugenics."
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yikesy, man.
Yeah, he was big into that.
So as was previously mentioned, the book is believed to have been written by a very racist psychiatrist who was a proponent of eugenics, obviously. I think but the part where this ties back into Sleepytime tea, celestial seasonings, is that Siegel has said that passages from the Urantia book were the inspiration for many of the uplifting quotes printed on the sides of the tea boxes and tea bags. Which
wait, they put print on tea bags?
That's what the quote said. I mean,
probably the little tag attached to them. I'm thinking right away, right on the tea bag. It looks like it's like a portrait tea bag or something.
If they're the paper wrapped individual ones, it could be that too. That's on the wrapper for it. So
that's true. Yeah. But it's just it's funny because I remember seeing those as a kid, and it's like this is just an innocuous little box of tea, and knowing that part of the packaging even and the person who made it has such a bizarre belief system is
Hey,
just
maybe our space alien religious brethren also drink this tea.
I, for one, welcome our tea drinking overlord.
Tea drinking overlord.
No, he had another
reference
quote
to British colonialism there.
right.
Yeah.
He had another quote in there because the guy was a terrible racist. The guy that wrote the book, he says, "I was not concerned about who had written it or how it had been written because it was so powerful," said Mo Siegel. It's like, I don't care where that book came from. I liked it. And it's just like, yeah, but I mean, ultimately you can decide that, I mean, I'm not a banned book kind of person, but it'd be like, maybe it would be in your best interest to read actual good literature instead of, going to find something where it's written by a terrible person, because there's more books than you're ever going to be able to read in your lifetime. Why waste it on bad stuff,
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's why I read
okay.
comics.
See also the Oneida silverware company, if you guys don't know about them, if we're talking about weird religious ties.
Please explain.
So they were a utopian community religion that started in like upstate. Most wacky fun religions started in upstate New York for some weird reason. You had like the Seventh-day Adventists that started there. You had the Mormons that started there. There's a lot of people that were just bored of like Catholicism and basic ass Christianity, Protestantism, where they're like, I know, I'm going to make my own religion. And that's when they splintered off and made all these weird stuff. But it ended up becoming this group. They ended up becoming a sex cult, and so there's all sorts of neat articles you can read about it. The guys over at Puzzle in a Thunderstorm did a whole episode of it on Citation Needed, and it was fun to listen to.
Oh.
It just goes bat crap crazy, and it's fun. It's fun to read into this whole thing, but it's also at the same time you're like, yeah, but they make good silverware though.
Yeah, the thing is, after reading all this, I'm kind of still like, but am I gonna stop buying that tea? Probably not. I don't know.
I mean, it hasn't stopped me from going to In-N-Out Burger,
What am I missing on In-N-Out Burger?
Oh, it's a Christian company. I didn't know if you knew that. But In-N-Out at the bottom of the cups, they have like John 3:16 at the bottom of it. And
yeah, I think I knew that. I think I heard that somewhere. I don't eat beef, so it wasn't on my radar anyway. But
I highly suggest everybody get a Flying Dutchman. It's on the secret menu. It's good.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah.
There you go.
What is it?
It's 2 patties and cheese. So it's a bunless burger. Really, it's a bunless cheese sandwich. It's just meat, cheese, and meat. And
it sounds yummy. I don't know how you would eat it. Like you're just gonna hold the greasy meat in your hands.
Well,
that's why God created napkins.
Right.
What was those things that KFC had there?
The double down.
Double downs. I ate 4 of those in one sitting.
Holy crap!
I'm surprised I'm still standing. Yeah.
Well, are you standing?
I need to get ready for work.
Yeah. Oh, there it goes.
Oh, I got that clog out of there. Oh God, thank goodness.
Oh, that's terrible.
Does anybody have? Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
No, I was going to say, along that same track as the Oneida Silverware Company, this story really reminded me of a place where I grew up in upstate New York called Ithaca. Ithaca had a place called the Mate Factor. It was this tea shop. Mate is it's not quite tea. It's similar to tea, drank alongside tea. Anyway, the Mate Factor, what's that?
Tea-esque.
Tea-esque, there you go. It's what the Mate Factor is run by the 12 Tribes. It's a Judeo-Christian, I want to say extremist organization.
They are.
They aren't necessarily violent, but they insist on homeschooling their kids, and you can't go to real high school or get a GED or anything like that.
Those people.
Yeah, and so essentially, in Ithaca, throughout my whole childhood, there would be protests. Just it would kind of go in waves. Like people would protest it for a few months, and everybody'd forget for a few years, and then they'd do something again, and it would come back up. But it's been closed for over a decade now. And I think the group still owns the building and won't sell it, and they won't renovate it. So it's literally just an abandoned building in the middle of a bustling football.
No.
But yeah, so that kind of reminded me of the Sleepytime tea, because they're also coming together around a beverage, yet there's so much more involved. It's curious.
This makes me wonder too, how many companies out there that we have no idea have some sort of bizarre religious origin, or like oh, I'm trying to think of one now, but the only thing I can think of is the opposite of that, which is that the maker of Dungeons and Dragons is also an ex Jehovah's Witness, but he's an ex Jehovah's Witness. So, yep, good old GG. But it's kind of funny that, I don't know, it's just bizarre, because the more I think about those tea bags, the more I'm like, that does look new agey. Like those boxes of tea, those celestial seasoning, like they're pretty and cute, but now that I know that the person who made them was a new ager, I'm like, that fits. Yeah.
See, the way I look at it is you can't really ethically eat or drink anything in this country anymore, because it's somewhere along the product line somebody's getting taken advantage of in this world. Unless like fair trade coffee, that's about the only thing you can hope to potentially avoid stuff like that. But it's still going to be people that are working in the factories putting it in the bags. They're probably not making that much money. So yeah, there's a whole bunch of ethics regarding food that a lot of us don't have control over. But if you are going to go specifically for these companies that have religious upbringings, religious backgrounds, if you took the time and just looked at it and to make sure they're not doing harm, with their profits, we look into Celestial Seasonings. The guys that originally started the company are no longer there.
Yeah.
They were bought up by some other group that also it's also slightly religious, organization that's essentially like Hare Krishna levels of just kind of like, yeah, love one another, guys. It's great. That kind of thing. But
and don't buy Chick-fil-A.
Correct.
Sorry.
Do not buy
had it.
Chick-fil-A.
Never will.
I've had it. I used to love it. And then my sister worked at one, and I got it for free all the time, because I worked at the mall next to the Chick-fil-A. So if we both got off of work at the same time, I would have a coworker drop me off at the Chick-fil-A, and then my sister would take both of us home after her shift was done. And while I was waiting for her, her coworkers would just be like, "Hey, you hungry?" And I was like, "Yeah." And in my head, I'm like, my gay ass is getting free Chick-fil-A. But that's neither here nor there. But now I don't eat it anymore now.
Same.
We don't have any here, so I've never been able to eat it, and I really don't plan on it.
Like in all of Vancouver, or just like in your...
Like I've never seen one in BC anywhere.
And see, for me, we have a saying on the show where it's "Don't die on Chicken Hill," where it's just like, if you don't have any other choice, if it's something that's regularly, something you would eat as part of your diet, I can't tell you to not do this thing. I'm just going to let you know that I don't partake of it. In my household, I don't eat Chick-fil-A. I've explained to my family why I don't eat Chick-fil-A, but that's not going to stop my wife from going and get a chicken sandwich every once in a while. And it's just like, okay, you have your own personal politics. I'm not going to let mine, dictate how you should exist as a person. So I'm just saying, they're making their money hand over fist from everybody else in this goddamn country that thinks that it's some sort of religious symbol to go to a Chick-fil-A,
Right. Or to buy a My Pillow.
I forgot about My Pillow.
We've been following that all, right? Like,
yeah, apparently a bunch of places won't carry them anymore.
He got banned from, or not banned, but his brand got dropped from Bed Bath and Beyond
and Kohl's. Those are two
Kohl's
and Kohl's
and Wayfair and a few others as well. Yeah.
Wow.
Well, maybe he'll go back to being a crackhead.
I can't wait for Dominion pillow systems to come out, and because
Dominion pillows.
Yes, the pillow that votes while you sleep.
Allegedly.
Right.
Oh man. Don't you just love talking conspiracy theories? We should be on Truth Wanted instead.
Honestly, I feel like I can usually come up with better conspiracy theories than they can, but then they always like double down the next day, and I'm like, never mind, I'm not going to play this game.
Yeah, I don't want to play anymore. Taking my pieces and going home.
We already tried to overthrow the government, but did we tell you that we're going to have a pillow CEO go to the White House with, articles of insurrection paper?
Right.
Well,
I didn't see that one coming. I brought up my bingo card and I'm like, fuck.
I think we've come full circle because we started with Sleepytime tea and now we're at pillows.
Yes.
Oh, I'm tired.
Good night, everybody.
Don't go
I'm
to
going to go
sleep
to bed
yet.
and read my
It's late
Urantia
here
book.
in Florida. Yeah,
Don't go to sleep yet because we have one more article to
thing.
discuss.
we do.
This next article is actually emailed to us. If you have an article you'd like to see us discuss on the nonprofits, email it to us at non-profits@atheist-community.org. I had to read it slowly that time, so I didn't mess it up like I did in the intro. Anyways, this article is from NBC News, and it is on the topic of, well, it's kind of about abortion. It's mostly just about medication. Neil, would you like to summarize that article for us?
Yeah, when I first read the article, I completely misunderstood it. What you guys found out was we were talking about it earlier.
I had the wrong reading too, Neil. It was very poorly written, I should say.
I think so. I think basically what's going on is there was a group of doctors that was led by the American College of Obstetricians that were trying to sue, I guess, the Supreme Court. Did I get that right? Because they were trying to force women to have to show up to a clinic or their doctor to get this anti-abortion pill or this abortion pill for their first time, and then afterwards they could just go and fill their prescription or have it mailed or whatever. And since with the COVID going on right now, basically they're the women are like, I don't want to have to do this, but they're trying to force them into doing this because of the Trump administration enforcing the rule to regulate the pill availability. So that's pretty much it in a nutshell. But what's the name of it? It was Mifeplex or something like that. What's the name of the drug? Or Mifeplex or something?
Both legs.
Something along those lines.
Mifeprex is what it was called.
Yeah, my understanding was that it was actually not. It wasn't even the patients that were suing to have this changed. It was actually doctors.
American College, yes, doctors were doing
who
it.
were like, "Hey, this is not good for our patients. They are taking a risk, literally, just to come into the office, sign a piece of paper, and then take the pill." When we could just give them the pill. That doesn't make any sense that we are requiring them to come in during a global pandemic.
They don't need a physical or anything to have this. They don't need to be checked out. They just need to have found out that they're pregnant, and then this pill can be sent to them, and they can deal with it if they don't want to keep the kid or whatever.
Yeah, and so this... It's upsetting because it's the case went to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court was like, no, they can enforce that rule still, even in the middle of a pandemic. What is the ratio for the Supreme Court right now? I can't remember exactly what the number is. It's
2/3 religious. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's. Yeah, I have a feeling that is.
Well, I think it's 100% religious. It's not 2/3 religious.
It's like 2/3 Catholic or something like that.
It's 2/3 right wing, and it's 100% religious, as far as I know.
Yeah. So John Roberts said that this wasn't a case about whether the rule imposed an undue burden on a woman's right to seek abortion. Instead, he said it was about a lower court's authority to block rules during the pandemic. And he said the court owes significant deference to the politically accountable branches with the background to assess public health. So
right.
But unfortunately, people are paying attention to what Robert said, but there was also good commentary from Sotomayor, and I think Kagan was another one that had a good when they were dissenting against it. And I mean, I personally, they say that it's when you come in, it's mainly just to for them to give you the warning about, this pill is a giant rush of hormones, or I don't know what Mifeplex does. I just know what the plan B was at the time, because I've had experience with that one, not me taking it, but I'm just saying in my life, it's one of those things where you want to research it. And I'm one of those weirdos that reads the giant long sheet of paper that you get for medications and stuff, because
me too.
it's like I read terms of service most of the time, because I'm like, hey, wait, what am I signing here? Always read your contracts, people. That's what I'm trying to do.
I read them if I'm sitting on the toilet, but
there you go.
There's a shampoo bottle, or I can read this. No. You have to have the magazine rack in the bathroom. You have your phone nowadays.
Or this. Yeah. You just bring a pad with you.
Palming giant tablet.
So
what? This is my phone.
That's your phone?
Mom? No, it's not my phone.
I wish they had ones like that. I would totally do that. I used to wear Jinkos with the giant legs in them.
Oh, God.
Fit in my pockets. Hell yeah. That was a nice kid.
I like how Rudy and I both face palm at the same time there.
It's the bisexual. We can't hear that. No, that's just no.
My fan ass love those pants.
So, following up on this article, I guess, what do you think the implications of this are for the future? Hopefully, if all goes well, this pandemic will be wiped out within, or at least not prevalent in everyday consciousness in like 6 months, maybe, hopefully.
You mean you hope it becomes...
We'll see.
I hope it becomes like every year you just get a re-up on your flu vaccine or your
that would
pandemic vaccine or your corona vaccine. Yeah.
That would be the hope. Probably won't happen that way.
We can potentially reach herd immunity within like 6 months. Thankfully, we have a new president in there that's going to authorize, defense production, and he's going to actually have a federal office to dole this stuff out the right way, instead of just whatever. You guys just take it and just put it wherever you want to do with it. That's fine. I don't give a shit. Fuck all you people.
We made vaccine
I'm
great
done.
again.
I had it.
Nobody has it, but it's great. It's just great over in its little corner.
Right. But my question is, like, how do you think that this is going to play out with a ruling like this from the Supreme Court? What do you guys think the implications of this are for the near future? Not just for women and pregnancies, but for other similar rulings.
I think that women are not going to be allowed to, if you keep getting these Project Blitz people that keep pushing this shit, you're going to eventually have it to a point where women can't be alone at their doctor's appointments. You have to have a male there to deign whether that treatment is good for your wife or not. You're also going to have, completely invasive things. I mean, more than we currently do right now. When you go in and have to, if most states, if you want to have an abortion, they make you have the wand check ultrasound so they can show you the embryo on the screen, so you know that you're killing something, and I don't believe that for 1 second, but I think they're going to get more obscene with it, because we've already seen a point where they're reaching times where you need to have a casket for having an abortion. You have to bury what comes out, and it's just like, the fuck is wrong with you people? And the thing is, it's just Christian dominionism once again taking over, and it's showing its face right here with this, because there's no reason you need to have someone come into a doctor's office and see a pamphlet that says contains high doses of whatever, you need to be warned. We all know that the pamphlet they're coming in to look at isn't going to be just, here's the warnings about this drug. It's also going to be, do you realize that if you take this drug, it could potentially lead to an abortion, blah, 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 blah. It's a very slippery slope with these people where all of a sudden, okay, you can't have that drug, and now you can't have it delivered to your home. Now you can't have it at all. And now that you're pregnant, you have to have that child no matter what. And it's the fucking stuff that all these guys keep trying to push on to women. And it infuriates me. And it's probably one of the main reasons I'm a Satanist, is because bodily autonomy is one of the big points of it. So
yeah, for sure. It almost sounds very Handmaid's Tale.
I haven't seen A Handmaid's Tale yet, and I've just been meaning to watch it or read it or whatever. And I just haven't gotten around to it yet.
The book is shorter than the show, and it's good, but the show is actually really goddamn good too. So
it is. It's fucking scary, is what it is.
Yeah. Ugh.
Yeah, when I saw them erecting crosses like on state grounds and stuff, I'm like, oh god, here comes Gilead. Here we go. That's the name of the fictional town where the fictional country where they take over. The Christian right takes over.
So, what do you guys think as far as not the negative implications, but what can be done about this? Because obviously the Supreme Court is what the Supreme Court is right now. Is there much that we can do about this kind of situation at our level?
Bribery?
Okay.
People actually tried to get legislation passed that made it a religious right for them to be able to have an abortion without going through any of the stupid steps that the states make you go through. I haven't read up on it in a while. I need to go back and check with my people about that one, but they were actually trying to make it a ritual, like it's part of your religion where you can do this. And of course, whenever the Satanists hold up a mirror to the Christians and be like, hey, that thing that you used to cover your bad actions? Hey, we're doing the same thing,
Right.
Except ours are actually good actions. And they're like, no, you can't do that. No one gets religious liberty. Nobody. No, we don't. I don't know. You have pretty much right now, you have to show them for being the hypocrites that they are. I mean, I'm a big fan of, proving to other people that these guys that are saying, no, you can't do this are actually the ones that are still partaking in of this stuff, And so I don't know. Shame's a good motivator. I'm not very nice sometimes, but
I was going to say,
that's why I like your show.
I wouldn't go after my own people, but I'm just saying.
Yeah. No, okay.
I was just going to say, I think Martin, you were going to say something too.
Oh no, I just said the X. That's why I like your show.
Okay.
Not nice.
Because I don't give a shit.
Yep.
I'm an absurdist as well. That's another thing you could put on the label list and be like, oh god, there's no point having an argument with this guy. He's just going to take it to weird fucking places. Next thing you know, we're going to be playing gay chicken.
What's gay chicken?
Okay, honestly, I win every single game of that.
Right?
I'm not gonna lie. Or wait, no, do I lose?
It's a stupid game that hetero dudes pretend to play where they're obviously having feelings towards the other person, and they do it as like a tricking kind of thing where they try to make them feel uncomfortable.
It's basically what if we were in a relationship? Haha, just kidding. Unless
but like you lock eyes.
What if we kissed
and then you stroke their face. And then you kiss them.
What if we took off our shirts, bro? Anyway.
What if we totally dry docked? That's not gay, is it?
I definitely did that once. But it wasn't on purpose. It was just like my best friend at the time was like, man, I wish we could just practice kissing on another person so that like we'll be ready for for boys. And I was like, sure.
You can.
I was awesome. This close to saying.
I mean, I've seen mine every day.
Moments you say yes, and yeah. I just want to make sure, I just want to make sure I understand what it looks like. So like maybe seeing another one would be good, I
need to see that eye level. That's
So getting a bit broader on this topic, I guess. As far as I don't want to say just women's rights, because obviously these are issues for anybody with a uterus.
Right.
But on these issues, how are you guys optimistic about how it's going to look? Well, Neil will have an outsider's perspective, but for X and Martin, what do you guys think? What are your hopes for the next few years?
My hope is that we can get to a place where we can discuss this without people bringing their, I want to say their feelings into it, and we can talk about the facts instead.
Mm-hmm. Which, even though I'm an outsider, as you put it, I would have said exactly the same thing.
Yeah. Because a lot of people have feelings about abortions, but the facts are pretty indisputable about what an abortion is and, what a fetus is and all that.
I want them to stop claiming that we're okay, they one of their favorite taglines is the abortions on demand. Yeah, that's kind of the point, you know. When people want to get abortion now,
but would you prefer to have a surprise abortion?
Yeah,
they also like to combine that with the fact that people are allowed to have abortions up until the late third trimester, and I don't know how to tell any Christian this, that nobody gets to the third trimester of pregnancy without wanting to have the child, you know.
Right.
Okay, I can't say nobody. Some people are forced into it, of course. I get that. But I'm just trying to say that usually third trimester, that fetus is no longer, it's viable usually at that point. Medical science has gotten to a point where you can save one at like 20, 23 weeks or something like that. Probably even better than that for all I know. I haven't looked into it, but when it happens, it's usually rare cases. And that's the other thing we need to talk to these guys about, is you need to show them numbers. You're talking about something at 8 weeks, and they're like, yeah, it looks like this little, like they hold up a little small thing, and they're like, it's a fully developed human being. And like, no, dude, it's a clump of cells right now. It couldn't do anything on its own. It would just lie there and die, you know. It just better education, because right now they're not learning anything. They're being force fed things. They're not like looking into it themselves. They're believing what their media is telling them. And unfortunately, until we can get social media reined in somehow, that genie's out of the bottle. I don't know how we're ever going to fix that, but people need to stop believing whatever the fuck they're seeing on Facebook and Twitter and stuff. You know, it's ridiculous.
People just grab their echo chambers and they pull it over their eyes like a freaking blanket, and it's ridiculous.
But am I optimistic? No, I'm pessimistic. I think things are going to get much worse in this country. I'm sorry.
No, that's completely fair.
I think they should introduce courses to teach people how to use the internet better.
Honestly, that's kind of something that I've been kind of feeling for a while, like critical thinking, logical fallacy courses in school, luckily, part of curriculum.
Yeah. And up here in Canada, somebody I know personally, I'm not going to bring names into this, but they are actually starting a course like that. So they are bringing the courses here in Canada anyways, where they have critical thinking courses.
That is really fascinating. I haven't actually, now that I'm thinking about it, I haven't heard much from the new administration and their policies about reproductive rights.
I don't think they've gone into it yet.
I don't think that's, as far as I know, that's not something that they've gone into yet. And part of my sort of worry is, like, I have seen so many posts today that are like, woohoo, a black woman is the vice president. And I'm like, great. What are her policies? Like, what is she going to be advocating for?
So Kamala Harris gets a perfect score from abortion rights groups, is what it says here, October 5th, 2020. And this is from SACB.
Well, that's good.
I don't know what Biden's position is on it, but he's I think I've heard him say in the past that he's like, look, I'm Catholic, but that doesn't mean everybody is. And so that gives me hope that he's like, I won't make you follow what my church says about, abortion. So
he's kind of demonstrated that opinion through and through. I think, sure, I'm Catholic, but that not everyone is. Like, he is gonna roll back a lot of the Trump era abortion stuff, but whether he ensconces it into something beyond Roe versus Wade, we'll wait and see. But
I think knowing that he is, that there's going to be pushback from the protections that have already been rolled back from the Trump administration. There's going to be pushback on that. That in and of itself is a very encouraging sign. Like you said, will it go further than that? We don't know. We'll see.
He does want the public option for the ACA to cover abortion. And he used to be a longtime supporter of the Hyde Amendment. So potentially that could mean a repeal of blocking federal dollars going towards abortion care in this country. So he's a lot more progressive than I would have figured. So go Biden. Whether or not he follows through with these, that's another thing entirely.
Right.
We'll tell.
Well,
and I'll be up here in Canada with my bag of popcorn.
Yeah, just watching the shit show. Yep.
I always got rooms available here.
I will be taking you up on that at some point.
Yeah, I'll take you up on that.
Once we can leave our country, right?
Right.
There's always the border issue.
Yeah.
We're so free. We can't have the our freedoms taken away by leaving, so we have to stay. Is that how it works?
Well,
We
we can go
have
to Mexico.
freedoms here too. It's okay.
Oh,
As
goodness.
a matter of fact, you guys have what, your constitution? Up here in Canada, we actually call ours the Charter of Rights and Freedoms.
Okay. Whatever,
Yeah.
Canada.
We're not angels. Trust me, we're
Constitutions.
not angels.
Is Article 1 keep your stick on the ice? Is that
Yes, that is the charter. The first charter is keep your stick on the ice. Yes.
Oh, gee, Uncle Red, I didn't know about that.
Well, that's all of our articles that we had for today. I would like to hear you guys' closing thoughts. Martin, let's start with you. You're on the spot.
I'm on the spot. All right. So I just want to
Hosting
say a huge shout out and congratulations to our newly inaugurated president and vice president, Joseph Biden and Kamala Harris. I really hope they do good things for America. I have a positive feeling for the future of America going forward. But like X said, it's also going to be really shitty for a while. These Trump people are not going anywhere, and or I guess I should say MAGA people at this point, because they've kind of diverted from the man.
Mhm.
They want to start their own Patriot Party, which
Yeah.
the original Patriot Party was actually anti-fascist, which just makes me fucking laugh. It's so
I don't even
That's right,
I don't even
too,
know
yeah.
if they know what side they're on. They just know that they're anti whatever, and they're going to fight
It's like
it.
their hats.
So my closing thought is to just try to, as best you can within, while keeping your own mental health in check, try to reach out to those people over the next few years, because we don't want to end up in too much of a schism in America. But also, don't yield ground to them. Don't let them be shitty in your space.
Yep.
Show them how you find it appropriate to behave, with your behavior, and hopefully they'll eventually come to model that or learn something from it. But yeah, that's my kind of call to action, I guess, is, don't automatically write people off for their terrible beliefs, but also, if they're being terrible to you, don't tolerate that.
That's right. And minds can be changed. So
They can.
God, there's a phrase I've heard that kind of sums that up. It's like,
fuck them.
No,
no,
that works too. It was a specific
Neil,
one.
that was
Here
my
it was,
my
it was-
closer. That was my closer on Ethan's show 2 nights ago.
Fuck 'em.
Fuck 'em.
The phrase
We were
was,
talking
"Do you
about Dark
know-"
Dawkins.
Oh goodness, I can see why that would be your closer.
Fuck.
The phrase I was thinking of was "Do no harm, but take no shit."
Yeah,
That was-
Yep,
I know
yeah.
exactly what you're talking about. I love it.
Yeah.
Do no harm, but take no shit. Yep, I'm right there with you.
Yeah, Neil.
Very close to actually what I was going to say, which is, and you harm none, do as you will. But what I always try to say, especially after my own shows and after other things that I've been involved with too, with the whole COVID pandemic going on right now, guys, remember to be well and be safe, and above all, be kind.
Wear your damn mask.
Wear your mask, wash your hands. I got mine
Above your
right over here.
Yeah, above your nose.
above your fucking nose, people. Come on.
Yes.
Okay,
that's it.
I'm convinced that they're doing it on purpose now. Like, I've seen enough of them that have
Yeah,
that
it's
snide
like
expression on their face that I'm like, no, you're doing that on purpose.
It's been a year. It's been a
Katie
fucking year.
Montgomery says I look like Shredder when I have this on.
Oh, Uncle Phil from
That's awesome.
oh god, what the hell was that? Oh, Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. Yeah, Uncle
Fresh
Phil.
Prince,
If
yeah.
anybody didn't know, Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, Uncle Phil was the voice of Shredder on
That's
the
right.
old cartoon, not the
Gotcha.
current cartoon, the
He
old
passed away
one.
though.
Yeah.
The original from the 80s, 84 era.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
X, your final closing thoughts?
Be excellent to one another. Wild Stallions
Okay.
rule. And don't be that asshole. You know which one I'm talking about. That asshole, because the rest of us have to pay for it. And by
Truly
it,
I'm broke.
you're shitting on everything. Don't do that, guy. Don't be that person. God, stop it.
Stop it. Stop it. I have so many people that I could say that to. Some of them are old friends, and I'm like, I still kind of like you, but god damn it, you are such a. Okay.
Mhm.
Anyway, my closing thoughts are that it was delightful to be here with you all, for one thing. I've really enjoyed this
Ditto.
conversation. And it seems like a lot of what it comes down to for a lot of the problems and things that we've discussed today is that we need to educate each other We need to educate other people. We need to raise awareness, and we need to vote. We need to vote. Oh my God, vote. That's pretty much all we have for you today. Thanks for watching.
One little thing I would like to say, Rudy, you handled it like a champ tonight.
Yeah. Thanks for leading the way here, Rudy.
And welcome this guy right here.
Yeah, welcome to X.
To the ranks.
Yeah, X, you've been a great guest.
I mean, thank you for letting me ramble for an entirely long period.
By all means, the show is a ramble.
Yeah, but you saw us. We're all like, oh, he's talking.
Yeah, we're all like, he's smart.
I'm angry all the time. I hate it.
That's called passion, man.
SMRT.
Passion. All right. Thank you for watching. If you would like to support this show, you can support us on Patreon at patreon.com/thenonprofits. And of course, as I've already mentioned twice before, I will mention it again. Email us if you'd like to contact us at non-profits@atheist-community.org. Thanks for watching. Have a great day. See you later.
Peace.